Hello. Hi, Northmont Kindergarten friends. This is Mrs. Rutledge. I'm going to be reading a story to you today that goes with our Unit 7, Week 3. Unit 7, if you remember, has been all about animals. The first week, we talked about baby animals, if you remember that story that showed you all the different baby animals. Then the next week was about pets. And the third week, this week, is about animal habitats. And habitat is a really fancy way of saying a home. So today's story is going to take place in Bear's home, and you may know these stories of Bear Snores On. Let me adjust, oops, don't want to cover that up. I'm going to adjust the camera a little bit there. I have to crouch down. So we're going to be reading this story of Bear Snores On. Maybe you've read bear stories before when you were learning about bears with your teacher. And it's a fun story, and my class likes bear stories. All right, Bear Snores On. This story is a fantasy story or a fiction story. That means that it's made up, it's not real. You'll notice when you're listening to the story that the animals in this story talk and do things that people do. And when that happens, that's not real. So we call that a fiction story or a fantasy story. Here we go. Thumbs up for that's right, title page. Bear Snores On by Karma Wilson. Illustrations by Jane Chapman. So Karma Wilson is the author, and the author means that they wrote the story. She wrote the story, wrote the words. And illustrations means that that person drew the pictures. Here we go. In a cave in the woods, in his deep, dark lair, throughout the long, cold winter sleeps a great brown bear. And maybe in your class you learned about bears and learned about where bears live in different places. This is a brown bear, like a grizzly bear. So their habitat or their lair, that's a fancy word for a home, their habitat you can see is the forest. And his cave is in the side of a hill. And that's his habitat or his lair or his home. Cuddled in a heap with his eyes shut tight, he sleeps through the day, he sleeps through the night. So there he is sleeping. There's some pots and pans around there like bear cooks, but real bears don't cook, right? The cold winds howl and the night sounds growl, but the bear snores on. Yeah, it said that the night sounds growl. That doesn't mean that there was really an animal growling. It means that the winds were blowing and it made sort of a sound that sounded like a growl. An itty-bitty mouse, pitter-pat, tiptoe, creep crawls in the cave from the fluff cold snow. There's little mouse, a little mouse tracks through the snow. Mouse squeaks, too damp, too dank, too dark. So he lights wee twigs with a small hot spark. So the little mouse goes in that cave and says that it's damp and dank. Dank means that it's kind of, the air feels moist, kind of musty. Like a cave would feel if you went in a real cave. And it's really dark, so he lit a fire to stay warm and to light up a little bit so he could see. The coals pip-pop and the wind doesn't stop. But the bear snores on. There's Bear still snoozing away. Two glowing eyes sneak peek in the den. Mouse cries, "Who's there?" and a hare hops in. Another name for a rabbit is a hare. Hares are a little bit larger than regular rabbits. "Ho, mouse," says hare, "long time no see." So they pop some white corn and they brew black tea. So there he's having a little tea. Look, they set up a little tripod, like a teepee shape, to hang the tea kettle to warm the water over the fire. And look, Mouse has got a little tiny cup of tea, and Hare's got a big mug of tea, and their popped corn, having a little snack. Yeah, would animals really do that? No. Mouse sips wee slurps. Hare burps big burps. But the bear snores on. Yep. Even though they're slurping and burping over there, the bear's still sleeping. The badger scuttles by. So we've had a mouse, we've had a hare or rabbit, and now we have another animal, a badger. A badger scuttles by, sniff snuffs at the air. "I smell yummy yums. Perhaps we can share?" "I've brought honey nuts," Badger says with a grin. "Let's divvy them up and cozy down and dig in." So he's going to share his bag of nuts. And he says divvy them up. That's like when you divide something. Divvy, divide. They have the same sound in them, right? So it means you're dividing something equally when you divvy something up. Kind of like when you play with cards and you pass cards out to each person. You're divvying them up. And they nibble and they munch with a chew, chomp, crunch. Yeah, because they're munching on those nuts. It's probably very loud. But, you're going to say it with me? The bear snores on. Yep, still sleeping, that bear. A gopher and a mole tunnel up through the floor. Then a wren and a raven flutter in through the door. So we've got a gopher and a mole. They live under the ground, so that's why they're tunneling up through the floor. And we have a wren, which is a tiny bird, and then a raven is like a black crow, like the black crows we see. Mole mutters, "Oh, oi, what a night! What a storm!" twitters the wren, and everybody clutters in the great bear's den. Wow, now they've got a party going. Do you think they're going to wake the bear up? I don't know. There's a lot of them now. They tweet and they titter. They chat and they chitter. But the bear snores on. It's amazing. There they are. That's what it looks like. The bear's sleeping in the background. And there's the animals. They're all silhouetted. That's what that means when they look black like that. It's just we can just see the outline of their body shape. In a cave in the woods, a slumbering bear sleeps through the party in his very own lair. And there's that fancy word again. Do you hear the rhyming words while I'm reading this story? Yeah, listen for the words that sound the same. Hare stokes the fire. Mouse seasons the stew. So stoking the fire means he's kind of poking at it, moving stuff around, and that makes the flames spark up again. So we've got big, big flames around the pot. Now they're making a stew. And little Mouse is here sprinkling some pepper in the stew. Can you sprinkle the pepper? Yeah. But when he does that, some of those pepper flakes fly up in the air because they're very lightweight. And they're floating. I don't know if you can see. They're floating, 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 floating through the air. I wonder what's going to happen. Then a small pepper fleck makes the bear, and you see all these dots. Those are ellipses. That means something's still coming. And what happens? Ready? Achoo! Yeah, it made him sneeze. Did you predict that that was going to happen? He blows and he sneezes, and the whole crowd freezes. They all go, right? Because they're all like, oh, he's awake now. What's going to happen? Look. And the bear wakes up. Uh-oh. Look at that face. Does he look very happy? No. Bear gnarls and he snarls. Bear roars and he rumbles. Bear jumps and he stomps. Bear growls and he grumbles. Yeah. I bet some of you are grumpy when you get woken up. They're all saying, we're out of here. Excuse me. Aw, look what happened to Bear. How's he feeling? He's got his paws over his face. You've snuck in my lair and you've had all the fun. But me, I was sleeping and I've had none. He whimpers and he moans and he wails and he groans. And the bear blubbers on. What does that mean when you blubber? That's another word for crying, right? He's sobbing. He's so sad. And then Mouse squeaks, don't fret, don't fuss. Look, see? We can pop more corn and we can brew more tea. So little Mouse is trying to cheer him up. Look at his little face. He's like, oh, really? Okay. So Bear gulps. So he drinks some tea, and Bear gobbles. He sighs with delight. Then he spins tall tales through the blustery night. That means he's telling stories to all of his friends. When the sun peeks up on a crisp, clear dawn, Bear can't sleep. There's those ... dots again. So the bear can't sleep. Uh-oh. But now his friends snore on. Look, they're all sleeping. So when the sun comes up the next day, all the animals are sleeping. But Bear's wide awake, right? Because he was sleeping for so long. Yeah. That's a fun story. Look at his face. Like, hey, why am I the only one that's up? Yeah, that's our story of Bear Snores On. Yeah, and now you're going to do a practice book page to go with the story to see how well you understood the story. Okay? Bye.